Welcome all to There's Only One, Terry Curran, with a bit of a retro twist and guests. Tonight's guests were like the Three Musketeers. It's Big Ron, who was educated at Oxford and taught at Cambridge. And
hey, by the way, with honours at both.
Yeah, with honours at both, absolutely. And my second favourite English manager of my lifetime, the first being the fella that managed Terry Curran and your pal Ron, Brian Howard Clough. Let's start with a bit of, hey, let's get to work. Big man, you first.
Right, I tell you, Clough, when I was at West Brom, I got on great with him. In fact, he once had a right go at me at Nottingham for turning up at his place and playing 4 forwards. What he forgot to mention, by the way, it was a no-score draw. So that worked. I then go to Man U, and for 6 years, apart from business, wouldn't speak to me. 2 weeks after I leave Man U, I bump into him. I go to do a television game at the City Ground, and he sees me in the corridor. And straight away, he's come over, he's gone, hey, get in my office, me and you, we'll have a drink. And my mate who was with me, who knew the background to it all, said, what's all that about? I said, well, that's Cloughie, Man U, Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal. He had a sort of siege mentality against them. Now, my favourite Cloughie story concerning me is I was doing a show years later, which you may have seen, with, it was called, somehow, can't even remember the title now, let's get it right. But what I did, I got somebody in a bit like we're doing now, and I got people like Howard Kendall, Graham Taylor, Bobby Robson, and we just sit there and talk football.
Yeah. Just
whatever. And the program was called Late Tackle with Ron Atkinson. Anyway, Gary Newburn was producing it. Gary Newburn's gone, Cloughie's off the sauce. Let's go and he's in good nick. Let's go and see him. So I said, all right, we'll go and see him. Yeah, fine, brilliant. You know, and he'd finished managing then. So I go around Nottingham and do what they call the Vox Pops. Finish up with my arm around a statue of Robin Hood. But then I go, but we're now going to go and see the real legend of Nottingham, Cloughie. So we go, he's waiting in the hotel for us. We walk in, and as I walk through the door, he sat in a chair, opening lines, hey, big head, you've got an hour. I said, that's no problem, Brian, no problem. 4 hours later, we run out of tape, and I'm throwing him little hand grenades. Brian, you know, you ruled like by fear and all that. How would you deal with these models? You know, that kid at Manchester, the blonde kid, the number 7, how would you deal with him? Hey, the first thing I'd say is, why do you need, but he swore, but I don't.
Yeah.
Why do you need 7 cars? Because you can only drive one. But if that wife of his ever started singing to me, I'd have her neck in a noose. I said, well, I think somebody's already done that, Brian. Like, you know, and he went on like, anyway, the lawyers had to cut a lot of stuff out of it because of what he said. But they put it up for the award show. And everybody's what's seen the programme said, that is a certainty. You'll romp it with that, Ron. So I go to the awards evening and they start going through the categories. They go through our category and they go, and in third place, John Stapleton for some news programme. In second place, for his interview with Brian Clough, Ron Atkinson. Now, I've been a runner-up to a great Liverpool side, a great Man United team and so forth. So that's not over the worst. That's not really the worst. But the winner for Supermarket Sweep, Dale Winton.
Unbelievable.
So you can imagine the flack I got that night. There you go. No.
TC, you give us one of your Brian.
Now, how many? Where do I start? I've got that many. Where do I start? I'll tell you the one of the funniest ones. I mean, I could mention Martin O'Neill about the tickets, but I'll start with the one. I'll do the one when he finally signed me. Been tapping me up for about 6 months, and I played at Barnsley. Anyway, when he got home that night, he must have got a speeding ticket. So he phones me up and he said to me, we're going to sign you on fucking Wednesday, young man. Are you coming down? And I said, yes. So it'd all been sorted out. So we drives down to Nottingham with Stan Anderson and Chairman. When I gets there, He says, you owe me 60 fucking pounds. I said, what for? He said, driving home from bars. I weren't kidding you. I got a speeding ticket. And he took £60 out of my wages the following week. True story. True story.
Here's one for you.
Go on.
Do you ever remember a game? What year were you, Donny?
I signed 73.
Right. Because I'm pretty sure you played in the game. I know you did, to be fair. I was manager of Cambridge. We were top of the league, and we got a Donny.
Yep.
That's when there was yourself, Peter Kitchen, Big Brendan,
and Mickey Elvis.
It was the left winger?
Mickey Elvis.
Elvis, okay.
Preston.
Yeah. So, you had a very good... And we played at Bellevue there. You absolutely hammered us. We're top of the league. We've had a great run. Absolutely hammered us, and for some reason we managed to keep the score. You didn't score. Our keeper had a blinder. The centre halves had a great game, Stringer and Fallon, and then you scored, which was inevitable. And we went straight up the other end and equalised, which we hadn't been over the halfway line all match. So we draw the game 1 each. After the game, I'm in the boardroom, and my mate comes in, and he looks at me as if to say, "How have you done that?" And I said, Barry, to the lad, I said, Barry, it's the modern game, absorb and counter. And I've said it as a joke. Stan Anderson, he stood there, he went berserk.
They were quite guy, Stan, wasn't he? You know what I mean? Lovely guy, Stan, lovely guy.
You know, he knows that you should have beaten us about 10.
Yeah.
And somehow or other we hung on to it, and I'm not sure whether he got promoted that. You may have done. I know we won the league anyway.
No. I tell you, we always applied. Well, Doncaster always applied for re-election. You used to have to apply for re-election nearly every season, Donny.
Not with that team, you didn't.
No, it's true, Stan. Can't call you Stan then. Ron, that is true. They always. I signed in '73 when they won when Sunderland. When I signed for Doncaster,
Sunderland won the cup.
We played, '73. We got a team up here in Village. We played Halifax, which we beat 2-0. I scored both goals. George Muller was manager, and he offered me a contract. And I said, "Look, I've got a trial at Doncaster, but I will sign for you," because I knew he was offering me a contract. Anyway, went and played Doncaster, and then we beat Doncaster 3, and I scored all 3. And he asked me to come back. Morris said to us, "I want manager," and he asked me to come back in again. He asked me to come back in. And I said, "Yeah, not a problem." But we set off to sign for Halifax. Got halfway to Halifax, stopped the car. I said, "Stop the car, we're going back home." So my brother's in the car, and he said, "What do you mean we're going back home?" I said, "I want to go back. I want to go to Doncaster. Just for some unknown reason, I just fancy Doncaster." And George didn't speak to me for a good 18 months. He was so angry with me because, I promised him I would sign. And that's the only time I ever broke an agreement. That's the only time I ever broke an agreement. And went back. We played Sunderland in reserve game. And they were playing, this was on the Wednesday, they were playing Leeds on the Saturday in the final.
Yeah.
Guthrie, the left back, played in that game because he must have missed a couple of games. And that's when Morris said to me, so in 1973 when I signed for Doncaster, come off at local football straight there, and practically straight. The first thing he says, he's playing on Saturday in the FA Cup, and you just give him a chasing. And they offered me the contract, and within weeks I'd signed, got into the first team, and then Clufford signed me. He's the only gaffer what's never ever given me a bollocking ever. I was his pet. I was his pet before Rob. I mean, Robbo needed. Martin always had to test Robbo. You're a great player. I mean, you talk about ifs and buts. Alan Browne nearly sold him, Robbo, to St Mirren in part exchange for Ronnie Glavin. Could you imagine? Could you imagine how Robbo turned out? It's unbelievable, isn't it? When you think.
I actually think he should open a school for wingers. They have goalkeeper. Well, he can't now, obviously.
Yeah, great.
But I like to have goalkeeping coaching schools.
Yes.
I always thought John Robertson, because of the way he played, he was an inside forward, really, playing on the wing.
Yes.
Now, when I've watched City over the last 3 years, I said, if I was Pep, and we can talk about Pep, but if I was Pep, one of the things I'd try and do is get a video of Forest and show it to Jack Grealish when Jack played, and he's not a left-sided player anyway. Jack Grealish should be a maverick.
Yeah.
He should play. They should say, "There's the football field. Go play in it. Do damage where you can." But he had him in that disciplined left-handed side, and he never played a ball round the corner. He never plays. If he received the ball in that left-hand spot 20 times, he get fouled 5 times, play inside 5 times, and the other 10 or whatever will be back to the left back.
The game has changed, though, Ron. I didn't think the game had changed, but the more I look at it, it's definitely changed dramatically. It has, because you look at Jack when he was at Villa. I can remember him going on. In fact, I said to you, Gabby, he got on loan, and I said to Gabby, I've seen the kid here. He's gone to Notts County, and he looks brilliant. You know,
but I tell you what, he was playing as a free spirit.
Absolutely,
he played in the middle. And he was invariably looking forward to pick passes through and play balls through.
I'm going to ask.
When he plays on that left hand side, for me, he's become a stopping off player.
I'm going to ask you a question, because no doubt one of our greatest managers in this country, an English manager, without a question of a doubt. When you look at people like Jack Grealish, my head's telling me, people used to say to me, my head's telling me what to do and how to react to certain things, because you only react to how, when a ball comes to you, the opposition will either close you down quick or they'll stand off, or they'll try and send you inside. As a manager, Cloughie would always, him and Howard were the only two what said to me, go and play. Whereas Jack would say to me, stay on wing. Don't come off the wing. Stay on the wing.
Yeah.
You know, and then if I didn't come off it, he'd go ballistic. He'd have veins sticking out in his neck. And he said to me, you know, I said, why did you tell me to stay there? You know, because he wanted me to just do one thing. Whereas Cloughie would say to me, go and play, get the ball and go and take people on. And I would used to do the same. Now the others would want to tie me back down. Now as a top manager, how would you have managed Jack at Manchester City? Not at Villa, but at Manchester City.
Well, if he's going to be in the team, he would have to be in as a central midfield player. And I know they've got, and to use an old-fashioned term, if you like, inside forward.
Forward, yeah.
Yeah. But they've got Bernardo Silva off one side, who's brilliant. And I'd be saying to Jack, I've always said that I tried hard over the years to sign Matthew Letizia from Southampton.
Yeah.
And I always remember one of my coaches saying, we don't want him on our staff. I said, I'll tell you what, the number of goals he scores and the number he creates, we can afford. You can't afford 10 of them.
No, exactly.
But you can afford one loose cannon and say, go on, there's a football field, go and affect the game. And that's, if you had somebody like that, if you got a straightforward, honest to goodness, competitive passer, tackler, or you play him in an orthodox way. But if you've got somebody, I'll tell you what's interesting as well. Whenever you were struggling, if you had that type of player, if you're ever losing a game, he's the one you'd want to have the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
that's not sticking up. That's not sticking up for him. You've been at the top for years and years and years, and you look at I look at us. You look at Messi and all these players. We know we're talking about on a different planet, but they were allowed to express themselves. Matt weren't. There was always like, he's not fit enough, or he's carrying weight. You know, Gaza was saying when Gaza was, you're always going to have a problem with his weight. I mean, one of our best players we ever produced. But I know he got injured, and I know other things what were off at field with him. You know, but
yeah.
But we never. Venables did allow him to go and express himself. Maybe if he'd gone to Man United with Fergie, he may have been a bit different, because he may have handled him like he handled Cantona. We don't know, but for some unknown reason. I mean, I always played as an inside forward. I hated playing on wing, me. Hated it. Hated playing on wing, because I always played as an inside forward and score goals. And in training at Forest, I'd be going round goalkeeper, walking the ball into net, and looking round and taking the piss. And Cloughie pulled me one day. He says, young man, I'm going to play here with an inside forward. And I got injured against Burnley. And it never happened for me. You know, after I got the injury, it took me a good 14 months to really get back playing with any conviction. And I was quick. But before I got the injury, I was lightning quick. So I had lost a little bit of pace, but I was still quick.
You just triggered me up on one of them about players you'd want affecting games. I can remember, and he was a good pal of mine. I learned a lot about coaching from John Bond. Bondy was a great coach. And when I was at Cambridge, he'd be at Norwich. And if I had a day off, I used to go and just watch him train. So I learned an awful lot of stuff from him. But I remember us playing Norwich, and he came to watch us. No, we weren't playing Norwich. We were playing somebody else, and he came to watch us play. And I remember after the game, we're having a drink in my office, and he said, I don't know how you tolerate that Peter Barnes and that Cyril Regis. They don't do this, they don't do that, they don't do this, they don't do that. I'm going, oh, yeah. Our next game coming up is against Norwich. And my team talk is, Robbo, get hold of him, smash him, you do that, you do that. By the way, you two, this manager says, I don't know how I tolerate you two. So maybe he's got a point, maybe, well.
To wind people up. I mean, you're talking about two great players.
Well,
when you say on your day, if everything was going well for the team,
I said, funny, sorry, I said to Bondy that night before, I said, well, all you do, John, is next time you play us, don't mark him. And big Cyril particularly ripped him apart. And then he went, and Cyril was one of the best blokes you've ever met. So after he went up to Bondy, he said, yeah, don't know how he tolerates us then, man. And we beat him about 3 or 4, yeah. But,
Gabby, you're going about with Cloughie, and without a question of a doubt, I mean, I look at players and they all say to me, we could never. I could understand what he was doing. He just get the ball down and play.
It's a game, isn't it?
If Ron was the best free kick taker in the club, it's oi, young man, get on the fucking ball, get off it, Curran, and let Atkinson take it. And that's what he would do. Just go and play football. And I mean, John McGovern really didn't like Cloughie, but Cloughie took him all over the place with him. And Martin and Robbo once said to me, he said, why does Cloughie keep picking him? I said, because he can do things that we can't do. How do you mean he can do things we can't do? Cloughie would say to John McGovern, and he would always captain the team, he would say to him, you can't play fucking football, young man. Get the ball and give it to Robertson or give it to Curran, who can. And when they lose it, get the ball back. Or you're coming off. And he just made things simple. Yeah. Everything was simple. If you're the best at that, then you would be on the ball.
You know what? I can remember a top player went there, and he was Asa from Man City.
Asa Hartford, unbelievable player. Yeah.
And Asa, because Asa was left-sided, as soon as Asa received it, invariably he'd be looking forward. And he's always trying to play the centre forward in. And I know for a fact Cloughie got him out the door after about 3 games because he didn't get it and give it Robbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how he played.
Yeah.
That is how the gaffer would play. He said to Frank Clark. Yeah. Frank Clark, I remember playing up at Newcastle with Donny in a League Cup. Frank scored his only goal for Newcastle. Can you imagine what it was like up there when Frank had scored? It went ballistic. You thought they'd won the FA Cup or League Cup, whatever it was. I can't remember which one it was.
The League Cup, that was. Yeah.
And he, when he signed Frank, he used to say to Frank, I haven't brought you here to play fucking football. Get the ball and give it to Robertson who can. And that's all he would say to him.
Hey, I've got another Cloughie one. It's just, things have just come back now. I'm at West Brom, and like I say, we had a good side at West Brom.
It's very good side.
And it was always us, and we always had great matches with Forest. In fact, we broke when they had 42 games unbeaten, and we beat them in the 6th round of the Cup, which ended their run. But this is another time. We played at the City Ground, first of all, and it was the visitors' dugout then might as well have been in the Trent. It was that far. It was nearly behind the bottom goal. And it was a dump. So we played them. They beat us 2-1. Remy Moses scored for us. They get Trevor Francis.
I'm trying to think of his name, Remy Moses, today.
Yeah. So they beat us 2-1. So a bit later on, it comes towards Christmas time. They're playing at the Hawthorns coming back here. Now, our grandstand, where the dressing room side is, had been half built. They were building a new grandstand.
Yes.
And they'd only built half to the halfway line, and they put they built my sort of dugout situation there, and they put a temporary one there, right on the halfway line. So I've gone in on them, and it's hammering it down with rain. It's bucketing down with rain. And I've gone in before the game on the Saturday morning. I've said to the grounds, come here, kid, see that? Go and stick it in that corner, right in the corner. And it's hammering down with rain. And all there are on that side of the pitch are JCBs, tractors and everything. And there's mud tracks and all that. Anyway, they come out, Cloughie and Taylor. And they get an absolute... And we beat them 2-1. Robbo backheeled one in the net, scored the winner. So I'm waiting there nice and dry, got booted and suited like in there, trudging up through. I said, well done, lads. All right down there, isn't it? Like, because we're in the first game at their place, when I started to say, and that's totally out of order, that dugout down there, Peter Taylor started, Peter used to chew his lip as if he was chewing gum. Yeah, it's there for a purpose, Ron. So when they've come up in this game at our place, I go, it's all right in that corner, and it isn't doing it. Behave itself. But and that's the reason. You remember when I went to Forest as manager, and I got in the wrong dugout.
Yeah, I can remember.
Yeah, but you know what that was about? Because I've just flown back from Barbados that night. I had a clue where I was. I'm walking up, giving it all that. Like I've walked up there. And I see a dugout. Now, I'd only ever known one dugout on the halfway line, which was the home team's.
Yeah.
So I've got in there, haven't I? And then when I look up and see Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira and Nelson Vivash in there, I've gone, how the bloody hell are we bottom of the league with these United?
Well, the dugout at Forest is right up near the Trent end. Well, that's what it was.
That's what I'm on about. That's where I had the thingy with Cloughie. Yeah,
exactly. And so, I mean, it was way back for the opposition coaches and managers, and whereas the Cloughie would have a wooden one put near the half.
That's right,
near the halfway line.
I know.
I mean, you talk about him being way ahead of his time. It was with lots of things. But here's one for you, Gabby.
Go on.
Yes, Cloughie done unbelievable things with Forest.
Mm.
But QPR and Ron's team, West Brom's team, they were so unlucky because they always say your first trophy is your hardest one. I mean, QPR had a great team, didn't they? Dave Thomas.
Yeah.
And Ron's team, I can always remember Ron's team, that West Brom team, before he got Barnes and Owen. What they call it, Gary Owen.
Yeah.
His team, he got Willie Johnson then.
Laurie Cunningham, Cyril.
Big Cyril, what they call him, Statham.
Robbo.
Robbo, Remy Moses. I'm trying to think of his bleeding name today, Remy Moses.
Yeah.
You go and mention it. I mean, you've got an unbelievable team. I mean, how you didn't win that league that year was sometimes you look at it and you always think, how did we lose that?
Oh, yeah.
It's like a game, innit? You look at a game, you think, we lost that game, and then you win some games or the other. Here's one.
Yeah, you know what did us? You know what did us more than anything else?
Freeze up.
Yeah.
There's always one game what does you.
Just after January, we were top of the league.
Yeah.
We had a spell where I would have backed us against any team in Europe. We beat Valencia. We beat Arsenal at Highbury when Arsenal were flying at the time. We then beat Man U 5 at their place. We beat Bristol City at our place on a nice pitch. Absolutely wouldn't play today. And then our season stopped. And we didn't play again for 6 weeks because of the big freeze-up.
Yeah.
And then we in the April, May, in 25 days, we had to play something like, I think we had to play 11 games in 25 days. And we just ran out of steam because in those days, you didn't have a 25-man squad.
Yeah, exactly. When you think about that, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's one for you, Ron.
Boys, can I just interrupt here?
Go on.
This is a phenomenal book. It's called Attack, Attack, and it's the story of West Bromwich Albion in the 1978-79 season. And I think you're right, boys. Big Ron's Albion team were one of the best teams that I certainly have seen in my time of watching and loving football. They played with a swagger. They were certainly the kings of the Midlands. They were certainly the kings of England, really, and could have gone on and been the kings of Europe. Albion were that good under Big Ron.
If they win the league, we may have seen them do what Forest did. It's only ifs and buts. Here's one for Ron. He gets out of Man United. Now, there was a lot of talk back then. I mean, I got the injury, and I can remember the doc had been tapping me up to go and play for them.
Yeah.
And Cloughie, I can still see him now with his fucking green top, his tracksuit, his rugby shirt on, white collar up, his squash racket. And I'd gone in to ask for a transfer, but I'm going round to this tale because I want to ask Ron something here now. Yeah. And he got his squash shoes on. And when I knock on door, come on in. I goes in. Sit down, young man. What can I do for you today? I said, I want to leave. And then he said, listen to me. Look, you will be back in team, but you got the same injury as I had, and it finished my career. Stop being impatient, and you will back in team. As a kid, you want to play. You just want to play. Look, you could ask anybody. Well, Ron knows all them, Robbo and all them. I mean, Robbo's poorly now, but he knows Martin and all them. Him, boy, they'll all tell you, right? And he used to say to me, young man, you'll be back in the fucking team now. Come and give me a kiss. Anyway, I walked back out the door was loose, and I pulled the door and I slammed it. And as I slammed it, the door's gone back down like that. And I can see him now with his face. He's put his hand behind the back of his head and he's laughing his head off. I'll see you on Monday morning, young man. You know, that's what he was like. But what I want to ask Ron, Cloughie always said to us, any of us that went into management, if you go into management, forget your centre forward, make sure you got the world's greatest goalkeeper. Yeah. Now, this is weird, this story, that Schultz were going to Manchester United. And I think if Ron had signed Pete, now, what according to form was, and it's only rumours, you can't, Big Ron's there, he's the one that will tell us whether he could have signed Schultz or not.
I'll tell you the story.
But how did Man United not give Schultz more than what Forest gave him?
Because the story on that one, let me tell you the story on that one. When I was at West Brom, we invariably beat Man U. And we invariably scored a lot of goals. Yeah. We got 5. I can remember us beating them twice by 4. And
you absolutely hammered them at Old Trafford.
So I tended to think that, in fact, the day we beat them 5 at Old Trafford, the best player was Gary Bailey.
Yeah.
It would have been 10, but for him. Anyway, so when I first took over, United were right down the nick. They just won the last 8 games of the season and had only finished 8th. Now, I always said if we ever won the last 8 games of any season, we'd win the league.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went into Forest, and I thought we gotta get some proper players. I'd always earmarked Robbo, and I went into Forest for Peter Shilton and Trevor Francis. They were the 2. I thought they'll be straight away in. And then we sort of had arranged to meet Cloughie and all that. Anyway, the upshot of it all is I'm working for a week or 2 with Gary Bailey. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, you're a lot better than I thought you were. And, and so I thought, hang on, do we need another goalkeeper? And Bailey was only about 21, 22 at the time. And I'm thinking, you have surprised me. He was a good keeper, Bailey. He never got the credit he deserved. Anyway, so I've sort of tended to go off the Shilton thing. I pursued the Francis thing until for certain reasons it became impossible to deal with them over Francis. So that's out the window. But that is the Bailey story. And also, by the way, because this happened once in, the it was the same night as Maradona punched the one in.
Yes.
In Mexico. Well, I was in the hotel that night with the England team. We're having a few drinks. And Schultz comes up to me and starts talking about this, and I've gone, well, and I sort of said, well, we have had the best defensive record, goals against, in the last 3 seasons. Everybody thinks of us an attacking side, but our defensive record is the best in the country for the last 3 years. So maybe we'd have been better off with him, Gary Lineker, who I was trying to sign at the time. I definitely went in for Shilton until I worked with Bailey, and then I thought, oh, you're better than I thought he was. And and our defensive record for a so-called attacking side was for 3 seasons on the bounce was the best in the country.
Gabby, when you look at that, I mean, what Ron's saying there, sometimes you see certain players think, what a player he is, and then he comes to the club and then he doesn't look that same player. He doesn't seem the same player. He may be a star at West Brom. He goes to Man United, and for some unknown reason, maybe it's a big club, maybe too big for him to handle, because some players cannot handle it.
Yeah.
Now
I'll go back.
And you think, he is a player that he can play.
Well, I'll now go back to like the Forest thing.
Yeah.
One of the best players I've ever had, brilliant, was John Sheridan. John Sheridan was brilliant. Yeah. And for the life of me, I can't understand why Cloughie got rid of him.
Yeah.
That he looked an ideal player. Could control it, he got great invention. Yeah. And enough of a scallywag for Cloughie to like, because he was a bit of a scallywag, John, but he wasn't a villain, he was a scallywag, good lad. And I always found that a bit of a mystery, but people do that. I tried to sign John at Sheffield Wednesday, and John said, I don't want to come because I want to prove myself here. So I rang Cloughie. I said, the lad doesn't want to come. He said, hey, call me back in half an hour. And Shez was brilliant. Shez was one of the best players I've ever worked with.
Great player.
Honestly, there's things and what makes me laugh now is, I see we talk about the modern game and whatever. They have these set play coaches. Now, all I ever see is a lot of pushing and shoving in the penalty box.
Yeah.
I don't. Shez, if I was a club now and wanted a set play coach, I'd say, Shez, come and do 20 minutes on a Friday morning. Or Glenn Hoddle, somebody like that, who could pull a trick, who disguise things.
Yeah.
We played Chelsea in the semi-final, and he pulled this little free kick 3 times. The 4th time, right on the stroke of half-time, little Dennis Wives on the end of the wall, he said, hey, you'll not get away with that. Again. And Shez went, and he turned it round the corner, down the side of the wall. And Nigel Worthington crossed it. We scored 1-0 semi-final. And Shez went up to Dennis White. She says, how do you like that, you crisp packet? But Shez he got that much invention. And that is something I miss a lot when I hear like little crossover throw-ins and little things, little moves around the box. Like, I don't.
That's what the top teams and the top players need in the team. I mean, that Man United team. Do you know Everton, the second bottom at league when I went to Everton on loan?
Yeah.
Right. None of y'all will understand with me with football. I loved football. But it didn't make any difference whether I played at Doncaster or Manchester United. It didn't, Ron. It really did not.
No.
And people say you got to play at the highest level. And I remember that when I went on loan to Everton, and he said to me, Howard, right, because they were having such a bad time. It signed 5 or 6 players.
Yeah.
Used all the money on the 5 or 6 players, and it weren't working for him. And when I went on loan, I went to his house, and the garage door is covered in little hangmans, as though he were getting hanged.
Yeah.
Fuck off, Kendall, and all this. They were having such a bad time. Anyway, when I went there, they're second bottom at league. right? And then we had a great run.
Yeah.
I used to terrorise Ron's fucking favourite left back, Derek Statham. And he always writes to me, Derek, on Facebook. He said, lads always used to wind him up. He said he played against that Curran today. He said he's going to take the piss out of you. And
before you start, you didn't at Derby in the cup when we knocked you out to come up.
Yeah, but you see, Derek and Kenny Sansom were absolutely great players.
Derek was miles better.
And I'll tell you the other great left back, if he wouldn't have gone down that way, because how Birmingham played, the other left back,
Mark Dennis.
He was another great player, but he was one of them, the Birmingham 6 or 7.
The gang of 4.
What would rattle people, but he could play football in. Yeah. Whereas the other two wanted to play football. But going back then I met Howard at Birch Services with Green, the secretary, right? And Howard said to me, because he thought it was going to be a piss easy deal, this, because he got me on loan from Sheffield United playing in 3rd Division. And he said to me, what are you looking for? I said, £1,000. It's £1,000 a week. He said, there's nobody on £1,000 a week, can't do that. And there were no agents back then. And I turned around and I said to him, so I said to him, I got my mate to come with me. I said, come on, we're going. He said, no, hang on a bit. Let's try and sort something out. I said, no, we're going. So we left, and next day it's all headlines, Greedy Curran, so-and-so, so-and-so. Anyway, end of the season, next season started again, and they set off bad. And I'm at dog track, and the girl who I was living with at the time, she phones me up. Or phones the dog track. No mobiles back then. Phones the dog track up. I had to go up into the racing manager's office. Took the phone call. She said, "Can you come home at 8:30? Howard's going to give you a call." So I gets back home. Howard phones me up. He says, "You've got that. You've got £1,000 a week." My first game back is against West Browne, right? Yeah. And I get injured. Then I get back playing again towards the end of it. Played me in that semi-final. Talk about playing games. I played too many games, so I missed out on final because I played 3 more games after that semi-final. But that team you had at Man United, that was like the West Brom team. How you didn't win the league that year because you got Olsen playing on. You got an unbelievable team. And I can remember us driving down from Everton to Old Trafford. And I remember Andy Gray, and Andy, big character, Andy. I mean, when we got him, when he would walk with a limp which took him halfway up the air when he was walking. So he'd done great for us. But even Andy, we were on that coach, and I remember Andy, I'll never forget this, Andy saying, we've got to get a point here. I said, forget Man United. But that's how I was. Yeah. I didn't give a damn. I respect all players. Yeah. And your great Liverpool team, they won everything. But when you're playing against them, you cannot let them see that you feel in fear. I said, forget Man United, we can beat these. And we finished up drawing with you. You all went 1-0 up. I think also missed a penalty that day and all. Yeah. But that was some other. I mean, you missed out on winning the title again that year. Yeah. Man United.
I'd say there's a little story there, by the way, about Andy. I tried to sign Andy at Man U when I first went there.
Right.
Andy was at Wolves, and they'd go in bump. And it just so happened that the fella that was handling the thing crisis at Wolves happened to be my accountant. And so I said to Roger, mate, I said, look, how much can if I wanted Andy Gray, and I wanted him at the time as a bit part player, somebody, come on and galvanise.
Well, I think that's what I would want to do for at the time.
Yeah. And he said, if you offer us $100,000, you can have him. I'll make sure the deal goes through. And we took it, and Andy was going up for treatment to Manchester every week to Freddie Griffiths, I think the physio was. And so we rang Freddie. He said, what's the state of Andy's legs? Can you guarantee me he'll play 100 games in 3 years? He said, I can't guarantee he'll play 6. So we didn't go after him after that.
He never trained on.
No, I know that.
What a player he turned out.
I still have him down. When I'm asked to pick my best ever Villa team, he's always my centre forward.
Yeah.
Him and Jerry Hitchens are always the front two. And I took him as assistant manager with me to the Villa.
Yeah. Yes, he did. That's right.
Yeah. No, and he was good. He'd have been a good manager, Andy, if he hadn't gone. Obviously the television was another avenue for him. So yeah.
But Ron doesn't remember this, and I can't. And it always baffles me this because, and this is true, Gabby. Regardless what Ron says, and he's got a memory like I don't know what. He's got an encyclopedia member of every player, everything, anything about football.
He's a legend.
What is he now? 80, 81, whatever he is?
37.
Still sharp as a whip.
37 with a bit of interest.
He remembers Norman Wynn, yes, Ron?
Yeah, Norman, yeah, people.
Right. So I get a phone call. And what had happened, I was playing at Sheffield United. I played Stoke in FA Cup. Ron was there that night. Arsenal were there that night. Don Howard was manager. And Howard had come. Right? Norman Wynn phoned me up and said, look, Ron wants to sign you. But Arsenal had come in, and I think that what they were trying to do, they would up the money for everything. Because it was Reg. Porterfield didn't buy me. It was Reg what bought me, took me to Sheffield United. And he said, if it's not done for this certain Saturday, we're signing Arthur Graham. And I said to Ron about this. He said, well, I can't remember. Which I find strange because Norman Wynn, Ron knew really well. And Norman Wynn had phoned me up and said to me, look, you're going to have to go in and ask for a move. So you might have won league that year, Ron. Instead of me going to Everton, you might have won league.
He also nearly bought or tried to buy Butch as well, didn't you, Ron?
Well, that if I've got any regrets, and I have not too many, very few regrets, if any. But the two deals, which would have Man United would have, I'm sure, Gary Lineker lined up, agreed for 600 grand from Leicester. So he was going to come, and Terry Butcher for 750 grand from Ipswich. And I might have when I went to the board meeting, particularly about Butcher, they were trying to fob around it. And the chairman said, well, we really need the money for the museum. And I sort of said, well, next time we're away from home and we're one down and we got a corner, send the museum up for it to try and head it home. Butcher was in it, even after the World Cup, the night before that board meeting, by the way, Butcher and rang me from America because he'd played for Europe used to play a game against South America, a charity game.
That's right,
after the World Cup. And he's rooming with Strachan. Strack made the call. Strack said, Gaffer, we've got the big man here. We're having fish and chips. When are you going to sign him? And I was going to the board meeting next day, and I said, it'll be done tomorrow. I'm pretty sure. I was convinced. And then it got, there was certain things came out of that board meeting. I knew then my time was up.
Yeah.
I knew.
Listen, Ron goes on about that, and Ron had got the greatest centre half.
I'll stop you. Let me stop you there.
Go on.
This is the next line, because I said, I don't care who's manager of this football club. And I went through every name you could, Terry, Graham Taylor, Howard. I mentioned Fergie because I knew Fergie had been tapped. And I went, no manager's going to come to this club and complain for the next 5 years having McGrath and Butcher as centre halves.
I'm going to say McGrath is the great. If he's injury now, I didn't play with him. I played against him, and I'll never forget the first time I played against. I'm not quite sure whether we played in a benefit match at Bramall Lane or it was a reserve match. But McGrath was 18, and I remember coming off. In fact, I'm late in Bath, and I said to one of the players, "I've just seen the best centre half in England ever." Yeah, I'd seen Morrow, but I mean, he got everything. He got the pace where Morrow hadn't got the pace.
I've always said the only centre half I've seen better than him. I've seen others as good, but the only centre half I've ever seen better than him was probably John Charles.
Yeah, well, I never saw John Charles.
No, John Charles was the best ever centre half of all time, and one of the three best centre forwards.
Yeah, well, I played with two. I played with two as good as anybody in the country, which were Todd and McFarland.
Yeah,
at Derby, they were so, but he was only 18 at the time, And what threw me off, Tony Kenworthy come in, he said, listen, you better go up home. I said, what for? He said, your wife's at home. I said, what do you mean my wife's at home? None of them knew I was married. I've been living with a girl, and my wife and her in-laws were at the house. Right? And when I walked in, so the wife there, the girlfriend's there, and the in-laws are there. And they all started screaming at the same time. I said to him, you're going to sort it out between...
Why was that? Did you not offer them a cup of tea or anything?
Did you know Fraz? Did you know Fraz at Sheffield Wednesday?
Who?
Fraz. Big fan at Sheffield, down at Sheffield Wednesday.
No.
But you probably know him beside Big Fraz.
Not the one that you never used to wear a shirt, but stood behind.
No, that's Big Tango. That isn't. He's from
Tango.
Yeah, Tango is from Birmingham. She went down there, and I shot her up into Josephine's, so I never went back on that night. What a player he was! What a player he was, Paul McGrath.
And I got a bit lucky with him in the end. I originally signed him from St Patrick's in Ireland for 30 grand.
What a snip that was, wasn't it?
And then when he had no injury problems with me. You know, that was all the injury problems, and that manifested after I'd left. But when I went to Sheffield Wednesday, all that came to light about they wanted him out, they were going to take the insurance money on him and this, that and the other. And Paul was going to take the insurance money. And he at the last minute, he ducked out. He said, no, I'm going to carry on playing. So I rang Fergie and I said to Alex, I tell you what, Alex, I think the insurance money was 450 grand. I said, I'll give you 150 grand for him. This is at Sheffield Wednesday. I'll give you 150 grand for him, and then I'll do the rest on games. And, you know, you'll get your 450 if he plays the number of games, which was sort of half agreed. Within half an hour, I get a phone call from Graham Taylor at the Villa, who rings me up. He said, Ron, I've just been let down. He was going to sign Yates from Notts County. He said, but he's injured. Tell me about McGrath. Now, in those days, if it was somebody you knew very well, you know, you wouldn't tell lies to, you know. So I said, well, I've got to tell him. I told him our situation, like what I'd just been involved in. He went straight back in and offered 450 for him, and they did the deal. So I'm a bit, and then I signed Peter Shirtley from Charlton for, you know, similar sort of money. But I benefited in the end, because when I went to the Villa, I had Paul McGrath for 3 years.
Yes.
And if you talk to any Villa fan who's supported the club for the last 30 years and say, who is your best ever player? They all go, McGrath.
When you look at yourself, you should never regret anything. But when I was thinking about that, the West Brom team was so close to winning Old First Division. Man United was so close to win. And Aston Villa, that was the time, Aston Villa, you were just missed out again there, didn't you, Villa? Yeah. Unbelievable. And you talk about luck. Again, I would go back to Robbo. Robbo could have gone. They could have swapped him to, was it Partick Thistle? It was Partick Thistle. And Robbo, we may never have heard of him again. Fergie could have got sacked at Man United. 3 years, Fergie struggled, regardless of what Fergie says or any of us think.
They all say that Mark Robbins scored the goal at Forest.
The FA Cup thing, whatever it was.
Yeah. But you know, that's.
And then look how it turns out for him with his record. Unbelievable, isn't it, how everything turns.
By the way, I didn't know this till the other day. Somebody, when I walk the dogs, I got a great lad to walk around. He's a good nerd. Nerd. He's always got a question. He said to me the other morning, and I hadn't realised this. He said, what have you and Pep Guardiola got in common? I went, there we go. I said, go on, he's got it. He said, you're the only two managers to have beaten Fergie in 2 major cup finals.
Right. Yeah.
I went, Yeah.
It's true that, Gabby. With the West Brom team, Man United, and Villa, so close to winning a title.
Going back to Paul McGrath, though, Villa fans, you're right, but they call him God. They don't call him, they call him God. He's that revered at Villa Park. But also, Ron, Mr. Rush, tell us that story about with Paul.
Oh, well, Rushy said to me one day, Rushy never scored against us, you know. He scored 10 against every other team, but he never scored against us, Rushy. He said, that annoys me. He said, I get the ball, I knock it past this centre half, and he said, I'm fairly quick, Rushy, who I still think is possibly the best centre forward ever to play in the Premiership. Or before that, the first, you know, Yeah, when so he said, I knock it past this centre half, start sprinting, and by the time I get to the penalty area, he's there waiting for me.
I mean, I was going to ask you a question about Rushy, and then you've answered it really. But I can remember playing against Rushy, and Liverpool signing for 300 grand from Chester. A famous name played in that game. The player playing for Chester that day was called Peter Sutcliffe. You remember the Yorkshire Ripper?
There's a story about the Yorkshire Ripper and you when you got caught.
But Peter Sutcliffe,
Oh, Peter Sutcliffe, yeah.
There's a guy who played for Chester called Peter Sutcliffe.
Yeah.
Peter Sutcliffe was the Yorkshire Ripper.
Mm.
When Rushy went to Liverpool, I thought, they'll give a lot of money for him because he didn't look anything. But when you look at his record, and even Dalglish, people said to me, "What's Dalglish?" He's so dry, that Dalglish. He was just like that with media. When people didn't think he were, but it was so dry, wasn't he, Ron?
Yeah.
Really dry. He was always taking the piss.
Yeah.
You know, and Rushy felt inferior to Souness and them because you can imagine them.
Yeah. Give him dose abuse. Yeah.
But then he turned out to be, one of the greater players.
And you know what? Once again, you mentioned something earlier on about fate. He was a hair's breadth from leaving. Liverpool, and they played him in a League Cup game, and I think he got about 2 or 3, and then he stayed in, and then subsequently he started scoring on a regular basis.
Right, yeah.
And I would sometimes go for a toss-up. I suppose Terry Henry. There've been some great players in the Premiership. I sometimes go for a toss-up between Rush and Shearer, but yeah.
It's incredible when you look at it. Fate does play a part in it. It does play a part.
Oh,
I mean, Cluffy buys me, and you can ask any of them players. You ask any of them players, I was his favourite, and I get a bad injury, they go on to win everything. Mm. I go to Everton, they're bottom at league, second bottom at league. Right? We move halfway up the league. The following season, they set off bad. I go my first game back. I get injured. I'm out for another 6 months. I pulled a muscle in my leg. It rushes me back to play against Southampton. We beat them 1-0, and then he plays me again. If we'd been playing today, it'd have changed the team around and everything. But I didn't play 3 games, and pulled me hamstring.
Yeah.
And then I miss out in the final. It's so weird how it works sometimes. Sometimes that fate is not with that person when you look at it.
Absolutely.
You look at some people and you think, it could have gone against Fergie. And He was under pressure at the time.
Yeah.
And look how it turned out for him. It's incredible, isn't it, how it works sometimes.
Question here for Ron. What was you doing, Ron? 12th of September, 1970.
12th of September.
22,346 fans were watching you.
Marking Trevor Francis.
Bang on, well done, big man.
Right.
Marking Trevor Francis on his home debut.
Yeah.
Really?
And on his full debut.
Yeah, it was home, yeah.
And he only had one kick. Keep telling him, was an equaliser, like.
You were lucky. You didn't play in that game when he scored the 4 goals then.
That was the week after. He didn't get 4 kicks. But I'll tell you a funny story, Gabby, of that match.
Yeah.
At the end, because I've never ever lost the game at St Andrews. Never. And I used to have some laughs with it because a lot of my mates are blue noses, like kids I play golf with and all that. And I said, I've had more bonuses here than you lot used to get, like, and all that. Anyway, so we're playing at St Andrews, and the railway end, isn't it? That end there, the railway end.
Yeah.
So they've got a corner. Blues have got a corner, and there's this little lad. What's his name? Centre forward, play for Blues. I'm trying to think of his name. I think they got him from Brentford. I think little lad anyway. So they're all jostling, and there's obviously no VAR or anything. All of a sudden, he's trying to jostle our keeper, Big Mickey Kearns. All of a sudden, he's on the floor with the little kid. I know what's happened. Kearns has whacked him, hasn't he? So all of a sudden, big Roger Hind comes pounding down the pitch, and I'm going, oh no. So I've stepped in between, and I'm going, Roger. And he comes right up to me. I'm going, Roger. He's gone, run. I have to come. The crowd expect it. And he turned and ran off. Big Roger, yeah.
His teeth out. Probably.
I mean, he was a hard player, wasn't he, Roger? Nephew of Bill Shankly.
He's a beast.
Yeah, Roger Hind, Garth. They used to call him Garth.
Well, he was manager at Motherwell, later on.
Yeah.
We were going up to play. It's just West Brom. We were going up to play there used to be a pre-season tournament at Ibrox, the Tennant Caledonian, which was 2 games, nice little weekend home. But on the way, Roger's got a testimonial for somebody. He, as I say, he said, would you some relation? I think it's John Walker's cousin or something, this player was. And he says to me, he rings me up, Ron, you're coming up to Ibrox. Would you fancy dropping off at Motherwell, say Thursday, and playing us in a testimonial? I said, all right, we'll do that, Roger. So we're on the way up. We stop. The boys are all getting ready for the game, like this is West Brom. And all of a sudden, Roger comes in. Have you got your runners? I went, what's he talking about? We got our runners. He said, for the race, I was talking about the race beforehand because Roger was right into that fitness thing, sleeping on bed and nails and all that. And they'd just been, they did one of them tours of Sweden where you play 2 games a day and win both 25-0, And he'd actually said, we're going to take the ascendancy away from Rangers and Celtic. It's our time, Anyway, so he gets this race organised before the game, and I'm going, Willie Johnson, who I just brought back from the World Cup thing. Willie, Scottish, go on. My ankle gaff, I said, just run 25 yards. It was Laurie Cunningham, and Big Cyril. Okay. He put in Willie Pettigrew.
I remember him, yeah.
Willie Pettigrew, yeah.
Willie Pettigrew. Peter Marianello.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. And I've got, so they set off the length of the pitch. It's about 15,000 already in the stadium. By the time they get to the halfway line, Willie's packed in. Laurie's just jogging nicely. Cyril's on the halfway line, so far ahead, he stops and turns around and has a look. And then they start, Willie Pettigrew, and Marinello had a running action, where his shoulder used to pump and they're trying to get up to Cyril. And it was like he's gone into the telephone kiosk, and he's done 3 spins, turns, woof, and he's off like Flynn. I'm not kidding you. They don't get within 15 yards of him, the big man, because then he was rapid and powerful. So anyway,
Big Cyril.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we play the game, and he's nominating them all for Roger, that they're going to be the next big thing in Scotland. We beat them 8-0. So after the game, Roger, full marks to him. He's come in, he's gone, he said, that Regis, our lads they got back in the dressing room before the match. He said, that did us. We couldn't believe what he was like. I said, yeah, but why didn't you mark Ali Browne and Tony Browne? Because one scored 4, the other scored 3.
Why didn't you sign him for Man United, Ron?
Cyril.
Big Cyril.
There is a story there, no?
Let's have it, Ron.
I'll tell you the story. Originally, there was all hell let loose when I signed Remy and...
Yeah.
And sort of, I'm looking at Cyril, and I thought, anyhow, if I go anywhere near, there'll be a lynch mob out. So, but then a few years later, he went to Coventry.
Coventry, yeah.
Now, I went to watch Coventry play, and I've gone, he's the best player they've got still, Cyril. A little bit later on, my physio, Jim McGregor at United, he was a very good on diagnosis. He's come in, he said, you got to get Alan Brazil's back's going to go in the next 12 months. You got to get him out the building. So I've gone to Don Mackay was manager at Coventry, and I said, I tell you what, if you fancy Regis, do we do a swap? You have Brazil if you want, and I'll do a straight swap if you want. And he was going to do it. Cyril was injured, and he got a hematoma on his knee, and he'd had a few of those, and you thought, oh no, perhaps not. And what I did then, because we knew we had to get Alan out the building, because Terry Gibson was in the middle of a bit of a purple patch. He just scored 4 against Liverpool or something.
Little Terry Gibson,
Yeah, so what I did, I took Terry in a swap deal for Brazil, but but the original deal was for Cyril. And if Cyril hadn't been injured, because when I went to Villa, people forget, when I went to the Villa, Cyril was my first signing.
Well, when you looked at that Ipswich team, Brazil did great for them. And he did struggle at United. We know he got his back injury, but for someone, I'll tell you, was another one.
Gary
Birtles at Forest. Unbelievable at Forest.
Birtles was a good player. But once again, it did all right for me, You know,
did you sign him, Ron?
No, he was there. And he never scored a goal. But when I got there, in the season I had him, he scored me 15 goals. Alan Brazil scored 15 goals from about something like 25 games.
Brazil at Ipswich, what a great player at Ipswich.
Well,
a great player.
Yeah, but the reason why, because I got Arnold Muren and I knew about the link up with them two.
Them two, yeah. Tyson and Muren.
Yeah, but what went against him a lot was I probably shouldn't have done. I should have made him sub for the first game. I left Big Norman out the side, and Norman was like Norman Whiteside was a massive hero for the fans. Yeah. Local big Irish kid, and I probably should have put Norman on the bench to start with. So put Alan on the bench straight away. So straight away, because Norman's out the side, there's a little bit of an anti-feel against Brazil. But he did score a few goals for us. And where he was a bit unlucky as well, the week before the cup final, I'll tell you how it was the same day as the Bradford Fire.
Fire, yeah.
We played at QPR, beat QPR 3-1. And he scored 2 in that game, and would probably have felt that he was going to be on the cup final thing. And because you only had one sub then, I had to pick a defender because I knew we might have a problem defensively, injury-wise. And so, I knew if we had a problem up front, I could always stick, say, Norman, who'd since become a midfield player then, I could always put Norman up front, or conversely, bring Jasper Olsen off the wing and play him alongside. Yeah. So he probably felt a bit out of it because the week before he scored 2 goals against QPR, as I say, and the reason why I couldn't, if in this day and age, with 5 subs, it wouldn't have been a problem. You're in, whatever.
Here's one for you then. Who's the best young kid at United? What you would have thought would have going to come through the team? Because I mean, they always had great young kids coming through. They've always had that. What probably didn't go on to achieve what you'd have thought. Watching them, it's like is it not Moses? What's a young kid? They were all talking about. Went to QPR, West Ham. Is it Moses?
No, you're on about the.
Go on.
The lad who went to the European Cup final with a gun in his pocket.
What do they call him? Come on, Gabby. Some had him at West Ham.
He went to West Ham.
Morrison.
Ravel Morrison.
Yeah. Spoke about him and all the players, etc. Seen this kid and so and so. Who was the one at United when you were there then? A young lad. What? Probably.
Well, I'll tell you what, as a young lad, and I recommended him because elsewhere, and he would never have broke through it. It was David Platt.
David Platt.
I had Platt in.
He left there, went to Crewe, or got released and went to Crewe, didn't he? Then Arsenal bought him.
I got it. No, well, he went abroad first. I got it to. He went to Italy.
Sampdoria.
Yeah, no, he went to Barry, wasn't it? Barry,
yeah.
But he would never have broken through because we had Hughes and Whiteside up front, ahead of him. in the same age bracket. But we also had another kid who, I think in my last game, I played him, Nicky Woods, who we all thought was going to be. In fact, Alan Muren said he reminds me a lot of Trevor Francis, him. And he finished when he was about 18 with injury, Nicky Woods. But he was the one. And so Platty, I used to use David Platt in training sessions because he was a hard worker. He was a centre forward, actually.
Was he?
And I used to get him working the back four, go and press him, then press him. And in all fairness, he didn't look a natural goal scorer. And I rang a few clubs. I rang Joe Royal at Oldham. Joe said, no, but I'll take Nicky Woods. I said, you won't. And I went through quite a few like that. And then in the end, because we used to have quite a good relationship with Crewe. They used to come and, if we had wanted a trial game at all, I used to ring Dario and said, can you bring your team up and play us? And we're trying out people like that. And so we get there, and even Dario was saying, he said, I thought he was, because he moved him into like an attacking midfield player. Dario didn't even have a sell-on clause when he sent him to the Villa, when he sold him to the Villa.
Yes. Wow. Incredible, isn't it? Yeah.
But the main reason why he couldn't progress, he wouldn't have progressed at United. And the main reason being because he got Mark Hughes and Norman Whiteside ahead of him, and this other kid, Nicky Woods.
Unless there's injuries, there's no chance when you've got established players with the young lads, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, Norman was only 17. Sparky was about the same, 17, 18. So,
but both of them were powerhouses in this. They got the strength to be able to cope with man's football. Yeah,
I mean, Norman, in all fairness, Norman was never a kid till he was 25.
Yeah.
When he finished. Norman was a man at 16.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, his injuries were shocking, really, when you think. I mean, what did he finish at, 25, 26?
25. At 25, we lost Gary Bailey. Within, what's his name? Stevie Coppell finished when he was 27.
Stevie, yeah.
Playing for England.
Yeah. Right.
We lost Gary Bailey, who got injured playing for England. Remy Moses had got picked for England before Peter Reid, and Remy got injured and finished it. He was 25 years of age.
But you had him at United, didn't you, Rob? Remy Moses.
I had him at West Brom to start with.
Yeah.
And what happened? That's a funny story in itself. His contract's up at West Brom. I'm at the hotel late at night trying to negotiate for Frank Stapleton to come with us. I got Frank locked in a room with his agent. Well, it wasn't his agent. He had a solicitor in, and we're desperate to sell him desperate to sign him because we know Liverpool want to buy him. And in fact, I got Mickey Browne, my number 2, to stay outside the room all night so he couldn't come out the room and shoot off to Anfield. And there's a knock on the door. I opened the door, it's little Remy Moses. Gaffer, I've come, I want to sign for you. I've gone, get in my office, not my office, there, get the keys, get in that room, I'll see you in a bit. And it gets to about 2:00 in the morning, and we call it a draw there. We think we've got the Stapleton deal agreed, pretty sure we have. And then I go back to my room, and I'm absolutely cream-crackered, like I said, a little man, go on, yeah, I'll sign you. Go on up it, Didn't even ask his terms. He said, okay, I know you look after me, and cleared off. Then came back, and he was a terrific little player. Yeah. Little Remy was like, and he wouldn't.
Hard going on, wasn't he?
He could look. I tell you who loved him, Souness. Souness loved him. He said, that little so-and-so, he said, I got the utmost respect for him because Remy on the field was a tiger. He'd be screaming at everybody and shouting and all. Off the pitch, you never heard we went on an American tour. I don't remember him speaking to anybody off the field. But on the field, he was like a tiger.
You might not like what I'm going to say to you this about Souness. If he wouldn't have been as dirty as he was, and he was some fucking player, him, wasn't he?
Oh, it's a great player. Great player.
But he would go over top to pitch. And I don't mean that in a nasty way.
Oh, it's aggressive.
If he would have got that, he could still have that aggression. But he went over at top. I mean,
Do you know what?
He was one of the best midfield players in the world, but instead of being talked about being a dirty bugger,
well,
he could have gone up there with Falcao and all them. Him for me,
he would have done.
He got all that. He got everything.
He could mix in anybody's company. He is an all-time great.
Yeah.
Without a question of a doubt.
We had a great record against Liverpool. In my time, I think we played them about 13 times and lost 3 times. But we had a spell where our midfield was Remy, Robbo, Norman, and Arnold Muren. That was our 4.
Quality.
And I used to say before we go to Anfield, or they come to our place, and I used to say, no, sorry, Remy, Norman was playing up front now. It was Remy, Robbo, Ray Wilkins, Robbo, and Muren.
Yeah.
And I used to say, Ray, Arnold, I don't want you coming in at half-time moaning that Souness has kicked you. Because I'm telling you now, he's going to kick you.
Yeah.
So don't come in telling me he's kicked you. I know he's going to kick you. But see, them two, they'll kick him. Don't worry about that. He'll have his work cut out looking after them two. And it was, in fact, the number of games, I think I've seen where Suey has actually said it. He said, when we played United, Robbo and myself might as well have gone off because we just cancelled each other out.
Well, I'm going to thank you, Ron, for winning the League Cup for my team, because that's the team who I supported.
Wednesday.
See, my name isn't Terry. I've got a brother called Terry.
Have you?
Right? Yeah. And my name's Edward Curran. So, and Cluffy would call me Edward. Ted really, I've got a brother who...
My name was a doctor. You've got a light in your front room.
Are you there?
No, well, I'll put light on. I'll put the light on. Hang on.
There you go.
There you go.
I'll put the light on. And I've got a brother called Terry, and he's built like Mike Tyson, but he could handle himself. I remember 4 policemen coming to the house, and he put all 4 out. And I just broke into the team at Doncaster. And when you broke into the team back in those days, you play 5 or 6 games, and then you come out.
Yeah.
And then when you went back in, you would stay in. If you came out, that would it. You'd finished. You'd be moving on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I come out of the team. I think we were playing Peterborough. I went in the following day because we didn't play. I went in, and Art Evans come flying past me. And Morris, it's the same size as Morris, but it's a little bit stockier than Morris. And he picked Morris up by his throat. And we've never spoke from that day to this day. We've never spoke.
Haven't you?
And Morris said to me, he got Morris by his throat, and he said to Morris, if he's not fucking playing on Saturday, I'll kill you. And Morris says either he goes or you go. And we've never spoke from that day when I was 18.
Are you and your brother or your mum?
No, but I love Morris. Morris knew I was a Sheffield Wednesday fan, so he knew, he knew he could get me to go to Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then I see the kid what's at Dortmund, his dad had gone into and I'm thinking, just reminded, but my brother growed up Morris, and you know what? Morris could handle himself a little bit.
He could, Morris.
It shows you things were happening in football to you and what have you.
Have we got a Billy Whitehurst story?
Sorry?
We've got a Billy Whitehurst story as well.
Well, I know, but I'll tell you about Billy. I know Billy well. And you talk about, by the way, he could fight him, by the way. I'm being serious.
I know.
Anyway, I got this job at Mosley, and Sammy McElroy altering the manager's job. And I said to Sam, what's team like? And he said, I've taken half at players with me, Terry. So I took Billy and his mate, Dave, I'm trying to think of his surname now, and a couple of more players, and we got beat 4-0. And I weren't one of them who go ranting and raving about players, because to keep getting on to players, you think to yourself. So I said to this centre half, why would you try that? And so he said something back to me. Fucking Billy. Billy picked him up. And I can't say no to Billy. I'm telling you, he's twice the size of me. And I'm thinking he's going to fucking kill him. So after the game, I went to chairman. I said to chairman, we got beat 4-0. I went to chairman. I said, I've finished it. He said, why? I said, no, just leave it. But Billy, great lad, absolutely great lad. He's one of them. If anybody said out to me, Brendan Callaghan was saying, if anybody was saying, if I'd have played at Man United with them, and Robbo would have said out to me, them two, I'd have fucking killed him. That's how they looked after me. They're unbelievable. But Big
You know
Billy's a
what?
strong lad. You'll have come up against Billy Ron, wouldn't you? In your team.
I actually played with Billy in some sort of charity. I got on well with him. Yeah. But I'll tell you, the story I was told about him was, and I'll tell you who tells it, Dean Sanders.
Yeah.
When Dean was at Oxford, Billy was at Oxford. And apparently Maurice Evans, the manager, who was a nice, quiet, lovely man, Maurice, he'd taken over from Jim Smith when Jim moved. And one day he's going to leave Billy out. He's left it. And he goes in the dressing room, Billy, before the game, and sees his shirt's not there and his boots ain't there. The number 9 shirt, sorry, because they didn't have the names then too much. And he's gone. The kids are going to put the shirt. He said, "Do not touch that. Do not touch that." And Morris walks in, and Morris is a lovely man, Morris was. And he's gone. Morris Evans, this is. And he's gone, "What's he doing with my shirt?" And Morris Evans apparently has gone, "Well, I don't care. He's playing," and slams the door and runs off.
Unbelievable character, Gabby, Billy. Unbelievable.
Hey, and then he left, and Big Mick Hartford, who was a good player, Mick.
Yeah.
He comes in.
But he could handle himself in, couldn't he?
Well, that's it. I'm going to say, yeah.
When you think about that, Mick Hartford, I'll tell you what, he once hit me, that Noel Blake.
Yeah.
He was a beast.
I'm watching Bally win World Cup 11 years of age. This is true, this one. And I go into Southampton. I sign for Southampton. I've got this leather jacket on and these light blue jeans. First person I bump into is Bally, and he said to me, "Where's your motorbike?" I said, "It's outside." Right? And we went all over the place. I think that's why Big Laurie.
Yeah.
Didn't like. He did like me, but we got in. We top day one for some unknown reason. It just didn't click with us.
Yeah.
You know. And but I were always with balling, and I'm going to say he helped Laurie pick team.
Yeah.
He did. He helped Laurie pick the team, and he always had those senior players with him, quality players. What he took with him, and he did great at Southampton. Did Laurie?
Yeah.
Did great with him at Southampton.
Yeah.
Bally, we played up at Huddersfield. I played for Huddersfield, and he came up with Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Like
that Noel Blake hit me. He's the hardest. It's hit me. The other one what hit me that hard was the kid at Barnes, Mick McCarthy. And then Bally come in and he's laughing his head off. And I said to him, "You fucking twat." He's laughing his head off, and then he fetched him in. And he was a man mountain, that
Blakely.
Oh, he was a man mountain.
Yeah.
But Bally got him to kick me. And I couldn't believe it. Unbelievable he was.
Blakely, yeah. He was part of the gang of four.
Yes.
Yeah.
how balmy were they, Ron, though? That Blues firm.
Well, here's one
They
for
were,
you.
weren't they?
You know, when I went back to West Brom, which the club had been called, you couldn't believe it was the same club.
Yeah.
And it was only 5 years later. I was the best player there when I went back.
When you look at that team you had there, West Brom.
This was 5 years later. Not one of them there then. They were, this was I tell you, it was there. Robert Hopkins was there.
Yeah.
It was one of the gang of four.
He was
he was a perfect pro with me. Perfect pro. And I pulled him after about 3 weeks. I said, "Hoppy, come here. Mark me card. When's it going to happen?" he said, "How do you mean?" I said, "It's going to go off sooner or later. And just tell me when it's going to happen so I'm prepared, Oh, I said, I've done all that, Gaffer. Done all that.
All that team you had at West Brom,
but in all fairness, this other team, when I went back, when I left, we were our biggest rivals were sort of Arsenal, Liverpool, and that. Yeah. When I went back, we had to win 2 games against Shrewsbury to stay up in the second division. Okay, but the club, I don't know what had
That's
happened.
another thing where you've done well. When you've gone to teams, what's been struggling you, and then you've joined them.
Yeah.
I've always kept them up. You did. I know you went down with my team. It was a bit of luck in a sense that, but you came back up. You won the League Cup and everything.
You know when
and if you don't go to, I don't.
You know,
if
we
you don't
went
go
down.
to Villa.
We went down with Wednesday.
Yeah.
We went down with 43 points,
Yeah.
which is the record any club's ever got. You get in
Relegated,
Europe.
yeah.
You get in Europe for that.
Yeah.
That's more than Man United got last year and Tottenham.
Yeah.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you rate to Wednesday as a club, Rob?
Brilliant. Fans I got all the time in the world from fans, and it was a great time. There was the players were terrific. The players were great lads. They weren't angels. There's quite a few scallywags there, but I love that. I don't mind a few of them.
Ball at Southampton, reading them to Evan. Lots of players would say to me, "What is it with Sheffield Wednesday and you?"
Sheffield Wednesday, brilliant.
They never wanted to win things. They've sold the best players all the time. Whereas Everton, who's a big club, would want to win things.
You know what? We got relegated. Now we couldn't believe it. Before the game, we were sixth from bottom, and anyway, we've gone down. So we've had to. It's a supporters club at dinner that night, or do, and all the players are going. I said, "Hey, we're all there and we're all going, no problem." Because next day, I was taking them off to Marbella, which had been organised for weeks early, because we thought we were well safe anyway. So we go in there and we get a round of applause when we go into the Player of the Year award. And I just made the shortest speech. I said, "Look, we owe you big time, and we'll put it right next year."
And we'll go back up. And you did. You came up. It's a fantastic football club, Ron, isn't it?
Oh, massive. I mean, all right, it was. And I've heard conflicting stories. I've got somebody was on about the other day if they can get, there's somebody trying to get a consortium up.
Yes.
Would I come back as an ambassador? I haven't made a commitment one way or the other. But then I talked to somebody in the know, because obviously the chairman's coming for a load of sticking, the owner or whoever he is. And they said, hang on a bit, you do know he's put 200 million into the club.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do, Ron, they put that in and they take that money out. And he's covered.
I don't know. I mean, from a distance, you look and think that club's been badly run.
Yes. You're right. He has put money in. And they've been a bit unlucky not to go up when he first came in.
Yeah.
But there comes a time when you think to yourself, hang on a bit, and I don't give a damn whether it were Ron or whether it were Cloughie. There's a time to say, right, it's not working here for me, I'll move on.
Yeah, but you see what I was told? I mean, I would have taken exactly the same point of view until I had this conversation with somebody that is in the know. Who was in fact, the person that told me, I was amazed how supportive he was and he got no right to be supportive of him. And he said, what happened? The crowd started abusing his family. And that's when and himself. And that's when he got the needle and just sort of took a back, pulled.
I've been told from somebody now, and I do know plenty of people that went.
Yeah.
Right, and you'll always feed little bits back to certain people, like yourself.
Yeah.
And they tell me he took 12 million quid out not long ago.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Now, somewhere at the back of my mind, I might be a million miles off here. Did somebody tell me, was his son director of football? Was he making the deals or something like that? Because
I think somebody close to him, somebody in his family, something like that, were making the.
So I've got that at the back of my mind that somewhere, because if they've spent that much, they've spent it on mediocrity. Mediocrity.
You know as well as I do, when in your day, you made the decisions on money on players.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it now. They just bring them in, don't they?
Oh, right.
Get out and handle it and handle that. You've got that's your player, whether you like him or not.
Yeah.
And that's not going to work, is it? With a manager.
Yeah. No.
That manager just might not like that player.
No, I was talking to Gordon Strachan, and Strack said, to be fair, if you went into management now, me, he said you'd last 15 minutes. I said, what? Is that if I was late coming in or something?
I don't know you as a manager because I've never played under you. But coming across you and your teams that you've been at, would Cloughie handle it today? I don't know, he wouldn't. But I think you would because you go with the times, with it, how the times has changed. People said to me, I would try and play the way how Cloughie wanted to play football, but I wouldn't try and copy him as a manager because every generation's a different generation. You can't talk to certain people how you could do it back in our day.
What? I've also said that about several ex-Forest players. They've gone into management and they've all tried. Cloughie was unique.
Unique, yes.
Unique. He was a one-off.
Martin did try and copy me now.
I wouldn't attempt to do what he did. In fact, it would go again. I'd think that's balmy. Apparently he went back and sort of thing. We went back. The players had all come back in, and he was late. He was having a meeting one Christmas when it was snowing, and he was late. All the players are gathering, and he's late. And apparently, Robertson was wandering around, muttering, and this, that, and the other. And apparently, he walks in, and the first thing he said, before you start and all start muttering, have you fed the birds today? I mean, if you said that to me, are you serious? Like, have you fed the birds? He said, because it's snowing out there and they've got nothing to eat. And that is true. TF told me that.
By the way, I can remember that. In the winter, he would come in and say that thing. If it'd been snow, because back in our day, we had a lot of snow, didn't we?
Yeah. If you fed the birds today.
Unbelievable he was. But he got that order about him,
Oh.
I mean, people going about fear, but he got that order about him,
But you know what? In all fairness, I'll tell you now, when I loved him. But I could never stop laughing at him. Because you know what? I always thought he was Mikey Howard. You remember he used to
Yeah. Well, you stuck him on it.
And whenever he used to say things, I burst out laughing.
But he didn't realise how funny he was.
I know.
He did not realise how funny he was because he'd come out with some things and you think to yourself, whereas a lot of players would look at it and they were like fearful of him. Me and Larry Lloyd weren't.
Yeah.
I mean, Larry Lloyd hated because you knew when he put that up, that little finger, that finger and thumb, and he put that circle there and he'd go like that. He'd never do it to Larry Lloyd, and he used to fucking hate it. He did. He'd do it to Kenny Burns all the time just to wind Larry Lloyd up, But a lot of them all were fearful of him.
I think a lot of that was as well the fact that I think when he was at Derby and he just finished at Hartlepool and he moved to Derby, I think he was very much, from what I can gather, very much a tracksuit manager that went out and did this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Then as he progressed, the Leeds thing and Brighton was, when he moved on, I think the aura went with him. This thing. Now,
well, he was never off on television, was he? Then?
I always felt that, say they'd gone to Man United or Liverpool, that wouldn't have worked there. Yeah. I don't think it would have worked. I think he might have adapted and done something different. Yeah. But, all right, first of all, Forest were a committee, weren't they? Didn't have a board of directors. Right, So he was obviously the most important bloke there. And
but Alan Ball said to me, because he always asked me, what was he like, so and so. I said, you would have loved him. And he would have loved Bally. I say that. He got rid of Shez, he got rid of Aether, who you had at West Brom.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you, he looked a good player at West Brom. I don't know if you sold him to Bolton. Len Cantello.
Oh, no, Len walked. Len was a smashing player.
Yeah, he was a great player. He's another one.
Well, what he'd done, he was one of the first to freedom of contract.
Was he?
And what he did, Len, for some reason, it was the biggest surprise of all. He went to Bolton.
Yeah.
Because we thought he was going to Man City. That was his team, and we all thought he was going there.
Going there.
And even on the day, what he did, and I had a right go at it, he had a test, not because I liked Len. I got on great with Len. And the day of his testimonial, he announced that he was going to be leaving the club.
Ooh.
On the day of his I said, you barmy, why didn't you leave it a day or two? You've done your time. You don't owe anybody anything. And the crowd dropped. I think he lost quite a few on the crowd that day.
At West Brom, he looked hell of a player. I'm not saying when he went to Bolton, he wasn't as good at. But going back to Borley would say to me, what would he like, Cluffy? I couldn't have played for him. Because I always spoke about it. People always ask you when you play for him, what's he like, and so and so and so and so. I said, you'd have liked him. But then I say to myself, other players he's had there and let go. It's incredible. Yeah. You know, he wasn't one of them what held a grudge against with players. Now, I weren't there when Shez were there. I weren't there when Megson were there. I weren't there when Asa were there. But I never saw him hold a grudge. You know, Martin was a clever guy, very educated guy. Yeah. Cluffy was bright, but Martin was brighter still. Yeah. You know, he trained doing with fucking words, you know, but Cluffy would always out fucking beat him. I mean, he always goes on about that time, about he wanted to play midfield. And he said to him, and it's true because I was there that day, but Martin always denies it. When he said to him, I don't want to play on wing. Right? And he said to him, well, you have two options. You can play number fucking 7 or you can play number fucking 12. You know, that's the true story. Martin always denies that. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Boys, we're going to have to wrap it up now. It's been an absolute blast. It's been a pleasure. Ron, will you come on with us again? There's so much stuff.
Not when Emmerdale's on, though.
And my jacket potatoes knackered as well. Boys, it's been absolute fantastic. It has been like the Three Musketeers, and we must reconvene, the three of us, and get the fourth Musketeer. Who would your D'Artagnan be? Me. Hudson, Curry, Mackenzie.
Curry. Are they all in your team, are they?
Yeah, they're all on the subs bench to bring in with the boys.
Any of them, Hudson, Curry, all of Mackenzie, all great players.
Hey, Gabby, I've just looked at that. I'm not sure I'd be the best player still out of that lot.
You'd be the biggest character, though, Ron. Yeah.
I'll tell you, the best player I played with, Ron, and I played with some absolutely unbelievable players. That includes Borley, Robbo, Sheeds up at Everton, Trevor Stevens at Everton, Charlie, Colin Todd and all of them at Derby, Charlie George. Unbelievable player, him. Absolutely. We only played 6 or 7 minutes for England. I'll never know.
Who was it I saw this week?
He'd have been a Man United player on him.
Oh, not much. Yeah.
The best player that Ron ever had in his dressing room, and you won't beat this tea, not a prayer, was Puskas.
Puskas?
Oh, yeah.
You remember Coventry Ron?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Puskas, Di Stefano, all them, eh?
Oh, he came in before the game, yeah. Puskas, yeah.
You ain't going to beat that, T. Game, set and match.
Puskas, aye. Hey, he might have seen Pelly at Sheffield Wednesday. Pelly played at Sheffield Wednesday.
No, I didn't see him. No, I didn't, but he did play at, at...
Hudson played against Pelly. Played against him in Jamaica.
Some played in.
And you know who the ball boy was that day? Chelsea versus Santos. John Barnes.
Barnes. Yeah, that was in Army, wasn't he?
Yeah, Barnes was the ball boy.
Colonel Barnes.
Yeah.
Colonel Barnes. We were on tour in Jamaica. His old man didn't half sort out some great stuff for us.
Really?
He got my wife with me. He got us a private helicopter from Kingston straight to Montego Bay, and
brilliant,
good lad.
Great,
picked us up in the hotel and dropped us in the next hotel.
Really enjoyed it. It's been fantastic with the legend himself, Big Ron, coming on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, I'd like to thank him for what he did for my team, and let's hope my team's back.
I hope so.
Get him back to winning ways. But these young lads are doing all right there at the moment in time.
Mm.
So
we'll wait and see.
Anyway, Ron, I'll see you on next do when you're up in Sheffield again.
In the immortal words of Francis Albert, that's life.
Goodbye.
Fellas.
See you later.
Hello, gang.
See you, Gab. See you, Chris. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Hello, boys.
Bye-bye.
Arrivederci, hasta luego, hasta la próxima. How does this go off? I haven't a clue.